This is the biggest myth in sim racing, and it's probably slowing you down, and it's going to slow down so many sim racers in 2026. So I thought I'd bust this myth, and using some real world driving analysis, the results are going to be quite surprising for you, because so many of us are on better equipment than we were in previous years. People who were on controller are now on entry-level wheelbases. People who were on entry-level belt and gear-driven wheels are now on direct drives. And people previously who were on mid-level direct drives are now increasingly on super powerful wheelbases. 10, 11, 12, 15, 18, 25, 32 Newton meters wheelbases. And that causes a big problem, and it's slowing us down, okay? So what I've done here is I come to Project Motor Racing in a Mazda. Now, Project Motor Racing has a very interesting handling model, and that's actually a direct quote from a video I made months before Project Motor Racing came out, when I've been playing an early access version of the game in Germany. It's an interesting handling model that when you tune it just right with the force feedback and with the per car settings, you can really get dialed in. So I'm driving a Mazda here, but have a look what I'm doing with my hands. Have you seen it now? I'm driving at this moment in time with just my thumb and forefinger, index finger, on each hand. Now, let's be honest here. Most people watching this video, especially if you're on a direct drive wheelbase, on your current setup, you're probably not able to drive like this. And you might think I've got super strong wrists or thumbs or something. So we're going to take this even further in this video. But this is how I'm driving at Project Motor Racing. And if you have a look at the way I'm driving this Mazda, you can see it's absolutely fine. I can hit my apexes. I can try and turn in more if I think there's more grip available, or I want to scrub some speed that way. I'm able to take fast corners, slow corners. I'm able to deal with camber changes. We're going to go over the jump here at Lime Rock Park. Let's see how the car handles it. Remember, this is Project Motor Racing that a lot of people said was, inverted commas, undrivable. But you can see here, I'm driving it. And the secret is the way that I've tuned this wheelbase and the force feedback settings. And this will make you faster. If you're not able to drive like this, you're probably going to be making yourself slower. Okay, now we'll take it to the next level here. How about driving with just one thumb and forefinger? Now, I'm sure some people in the comments might think this is a stunt, and actually it's not. I've kind of like tricked it, and I'm driving left-hand side with a controller or something, but I'm just telling you I'm not. That's actually me driving with just my thumb and forefinger and driving absolutely fine. Like, I would be competitive driving like this, and this with all the force feedback on. I'm feeling all the detail. I understand what the car's doing. You know, the Mazda MX-5 is a car that dances around. It's very light, and, you know, you want to kind of feel where the tyres are and feel where that grip is. We're going to go for an overtake. So just proving the point here that I can drive like this. So the settings changes I've made is I'm really reducing the dynamic tyre load coming back to me in the force feedback. Why am I doing that? When you think of a steering wheel is primarily designed for me as a driver to give input to the car. Okay? So as a driver, I am instructing the car. I'm telling the car what to do. The same if I was a jockey on a horse or whatever. I'm instructing the car what to do, and my tool to do that is everything you see on screen here. So I've got the steering wheel, and obviously I have the pedals as well to manipulate the car. But the main thing is the steering wheel as an input. I feel like with the advent of super powerful direct drive wheelbases and just, you know, more competition in the wheelbase space, we are seeing more people think that it's about the input you're getting back from the steering wheel should be the dominant thing to experience. Like, the more you experience, the greater the load you experience, the better you're going to be driving. And it's not the case. I want to be getting signals through the wheelbase. Like 100% I would not be able to do this without force feedback. I want to make that clear. But it's about the quality of the details I'm getting. I want to understand where the tyres are. I want to corroborate what I'm seeing with my eyes in terms of how much load I'm putting on the tyres and how much grip is available. And if you have a look here, this is me doing some real world Mazda racing, so a Mazda spec race here. And have a look at me on the wheel. Okay, I'm not wearing gloves. You might expect that when you're racing cars like this, you're going to be gripping the wheel really tight, but it's not like that. It's super, super, super light steering. Super light steering. You're going to see me plenty of times reach for the gear stick. I'm not going to panic and sort of like not spend a lot of time my hand off the wheel. I'm going to do it in a very comfortable way. And that is how real world cars let you drive. I'm able to input into the car here, to the Mazda, what I want it to do through the steering wheel. As you come into this hairpin, you can see I'm going to have to unwind the wheel, and look how precise movements I'm able to do and get this overtake done on the exit. This car is clearly not giving me a saturation of force feedback through the wheel. And when I talk about a saturation, I really mean that, because these new direct drive wheelbases, I've been reviewing a lot of them, and they are fantastic. They are better than what we had before, don't get me wrong. There's a new generation coming. But everyone talks about they can handle 18, 25, 32, 39 Newton meters without clipping. Yeah, but we can't. We can't as humans. That's going to saturate what we can feel. I want to feel details. I want to feel the little vibrations. I want to feel, for example, if I'm running over on a curb, I can feel how much I'm on that curb by how much the car is vibrating. So I want to feel these details. I don't want to be saturated by just tyre load. Okay? Now, when you think about it with tyre load, one of the most important things with tyre load is when do the tyres start screeching? And that's something I'm really in tune with from my karting days when I was doing direct drive karting in the UK, where basically direct drive karting, it's not like direct drive sim racing. Direct drive karting means that if you lock up and stall the car, that's your race over. Like they don't have a starter motor. You can't restart them. So you were trying to lock up as much as possible on the threshold without going over and listening to everything chirping. So I'm very sensitive to that. And that's why here also my force feedback, I'm faster when I'm not being saturated by a load of just dynamic load. Now I want to take you to an example of what happens when you run too much load. And this is when I was reviewing the new MOZA R25 Ultra wheelbase, which is a great wheelbase. And in the process of reviewing it, I obviously run at different Newton meters and high-low, and I change all the settings and I experiment with different things so I can actually give you a well-informed review. But when I'm using this wheelbase at a very high Newton meter, even though it is able to give the detail at the same time, that's what these new generation wheelbases can do, the MOZA R25, SimiCube 3, etc. Kind of like these telemetry effects. It still saturates me as a racing driver. And one of the most important things is that it compromises me from adding more lock in the middle of the corner if I've misjudged it. And this is one of the most important things for you to take away from this video. If you feel like you're working the wheel too hard, you still might feel like you're driving really well, but you're just having a good workout. That's not the case. There are some times in the corner, and this should be fairly frequent, there is actually more steering angle available and we've misjudged it, or we're just not driving hard enough. And if your resistance on your steering wheel, because it's capable of giving you that resistance, you can leave it turned all the way up, you are not going to give yourself the ability to actually turn the wheel more in the corner. And therefore you're leaving performance off the table. So let me get this straight again. You can lap around and think you're doing absolutely fine because you're still hitting apexes, you're still, racing against the AI online at your usual level. But there might be more rotation you should be giving the car or experimenting with the car. Like imagine here, imagine if it's really difficult for me to turn the wheel there because there's such an intense load. I'm not going to experiment and see what happens if I nibble that curb. Can I completely ride that sausage curb? Can I try a different line? Can I do more of a cutback line that's going to require me to put more load? And that's going to compromise it. That's going to make me slower. And all I'm gaining is I can say that I'm running my wheelbase at a higher Newton meterage. And again, if we go back to the Mazdas here, this is in competition. You can see on the footage here how easy it is for me to rotate the wheel a little bit extra if I need to mid-corner. And that is critical. And that means I have a nicely balanced car that I can actually drive. I can, on the fly, do a cutback. I can, try and scrub the tyres in a different way. I can bring the back end around, and the car just feels very light and very nimble. And what we're doing is, with these power steering cars we're often driving in sims, is we're turning them into like old school Formula cars with no power steering, where they had loads of downforce, but these cars we're driving don't have loads of downforce, comparatively speaking. They should be a little bit skittish. You can see here on my hands, I'm able to apply a little bit more lock. We'll have a look what happens here at the next corner, which is a tight right-hander, and just focus on my hands on the Mazda wheel, and let's just see if I'm able to just experiment with a bit more lock, bring it back, kind of run the wheel a little bit nicely. We'll have a look. Coming in here, you can see some opportunities, and then more. There we go. Do you see there? Just a little bit more I was able to give. It felt natural. If already when I turn in, I'm at a severe load, I'm not going to feel confident. I'm not going to feel like I have the space and freedom to do that. And that's very important. So I think the biggest myth in sim racing at the moment is that you need to run your wheelbases super high. You get some kind of prize for doing it. It's going to make you faster. You can feel more. I really don't think that's the case. And actually with these new generation of direct drive wheelbases, the major benefit they give you, in my opinion, is the detail. And a lot of them doing fancy telemetry now with like ABS and TC and tire slip and everything. Some of them are more gimmicks than others, so make sure you subscribe to see the reviews on my channel of them. But if you actually tune into those details and don't saturate yourself with a load of load, you'll be able to appreciate it and perhaps even drive faster. So like I said, please do subscribe if you like this video. Let me know what you want to see next on the channel, and I will see you next time.